Dude, you can't put that like that, bro. You can't say something like that.
No, I can, and I'll tell you why.
For your statement to say
he says
the healthcare system is the reason why this is happening.
I'm not saying
it could be
what's going on in our healthcare system.
I'm not one that's
remember,
gonna
he's
sit
allegedly
here.
the killer.
Tom, I'm speaking. We're interrupting a lot today. Like, let's just let us. You did it to Vinny. You did it to Adam. Now you're doing it to me.
Hello, everybody. Guys, PBD freaks out in ways I've actually never seen. And you got to hear the argument that this guy makes about the United CEO shooting. It's pretty unbelievable. I have 2 segments to show you. Let's get right into it.
And all of a sudden, he comes out of Penn. And I'm not ready to blame the whole thing on Penn, but I will say this. When you charge $80,000 a year for tuition to influence kids and educate them, you can't stand on the other side of the line and say, oh, well, we didn't influence them. What's going on at Penn and things, he said he came out with these anti-capitalist leanings, and he's starting to read other things. And so I look at it and I think this is a horrible, horrible tragedy. Who knows what flipped his switch to be able, as a balanced kid, to walk the street that day, lie in wait for Thompson and pump several shots into him. Not one, not impulsive, but to stand over him and keep firing. Who knows what flipped that switch? But I am deeply concerned because I see a before and after, and I don't think you can run from the influence that college had on him and where he chose to go after college to hang out in San Francisco and then in Hawaii. Hawaii, maybe he's out there for the sun and all that, but he went to San Francisco in this area. It just bothers me. But if you don't think your kids can be influenced, you're not paying attention.
You're making a very good point. By the way, this is
Guys, this is unbelievable. I'm going to get to this next segment where PBD freaks out. But do you hear the connection that he's trying to make there? Because he went to college, university at Penn, and they're teaching things that now they are trying to say, basically, he's trying to say that they radicalized them. That possibly they radicalized them into becoming this murderer, anti-capitalism. Instead of seeing the obvious, that, again, I don't believe if anyone should be shooting anyone. That's not our jobs to do as humans. I don't think anyone deserves to die. But to be so disconnected as to what clearly was the intent and what clearly is the issue here. All of media, that not one of them has talked about the amount of people that have been denied healthcare in this country and passed away because of it. All because of financial reasons. All because of people like that CEO to get paid tens of millions of dollars. It's truly unbelievable. And that he moved to San Francisco, and that also radicalized him. Maybe that had something to do with it. They're just trying to blame the left now, and it's truly unbelievable because of this next segment. Let's get right into that.
And you know what the story's about? I mean, what is the story?
Chaos,
who does he kill?
Anarchy.
Who does he kill in the movie? Who gets killed?
He killed
the capitalist.
Guys, pay attention to the argument he makes here. He's so out of touch.
Why? I mean, they painted the father and the family and everything in such a way. These things matter. These things matter. You're pinning people and you're inspiring people. Now, I think once they get to the bottom of it, if the family responded that way, guess what we know? It's definitely not that one of their family members didn't get the proper care they needed from health insurance or hospital. Fair? Because if the family says that, we're so disappointed and shocked, so then could it be a girlfriend? Could it be a friend? Could it be somebody that's a coworker? Could it be an influence? Could it be somebody? It's very interesting. And by the way, who knows what some of these things could be with this guy. But
guys, he's nervous. I have a theory of what's going on here. He's nervous. He's mentioned all these possibilities, but not the clear one. He, on the cases, denied, opposed, whatever the word was. He clearly had a problem with the healthcare system and the denying of healthcare resources and literally letting people pass away because of the bottom line profits that these CEOs and these companies at large in the healthcare industry do. And this is something, you're not selling widgets. You're not selling computer pieces. You're dealing with people's lives here. He's so out of touch that he doesn't understand this. And I have a theory. He, as somebody who's worth $500 million, maybe more by now, who's made his money, guys, look it up. He's made his money doing MLM, very shady businesses. And I think he has a fear that maybe somebody will come out after him because of how many lives he's ruined. And guys, his scheme has ruined a lot of people's lives. This is personal for him. It's personal for a lot of these right-wing, super rich people. Ben Shapiro, all these people on Fox, they're all defending the CEO without speaking one word about the patients and how many patients passed away because of these healthcare providers. Again, I'm not for killing anyone, but MAGA out there, Republicans out there, I hope you're seeing how you're being manipulated here.
If I could follow up. So Pat said something important. I want to make sure I clarify it. He said, you can't put this whole thing on Penn. I'm not. Here's what I am saying. In 4 years from that speech to when he graduated, he changed slightly. And then 3 years later, he's capable of an amazing premeditated capital murder. There's something going on.
When did
he
graduate from Penn?
When he was 18 and a half years old, according to his birthday. So he graduated from,
Penn.
excuse me,
Penn, not high school.
22 and a half, going on 23.
Okay, so
And
that
he's
was
26.
3 years ago.
It is.
What I want to
ago.
know is what happened the last 90 days.
And that was my point about what flipped, what
Yeah.
switch flipped. But the anti-capitalist leanings that were in some of the things he wrote in comments and in book reviews that the Wall Street Journal was talking about, you know, where does that come from? That's not coming from his grandparents who are real estate capitalists or his parents who are running the enterprise of the company, certainly. Wow. Something is happening, PBD. I'm not blaming Penn alone. I'm saying, are there fingerprints of Penn in the change of his heart?
Yeah.
I think, yes, there are.
I have a sort of a slightly different angle here because I think it highlights the inefficiencies and how messed up our healthcare system is and what they describe as sick care. So, you know, they say that life imitates art or art imitates life. You brought up the Joker. I'll bring up another movie that you've referenced multiple times, and that's the movie John Q. Remember that story, PBD?
Adam's about to get himself fired because he's about to speak some truth.
So the story was Denzel Washington, his son, playing baseball in a baseball game, drops basically dead and collapses in a baseball game due to an enlarged heart. So when he goes to basically see if the insurance company and the coverage will cover the heart transplant, they do not. And he doesn't have the money and he's denied. And he basically, it sort of highlights, and this is sort of the point here with this guy, the drastic measures that family members, parents in particular, will take to care for their kids or their loved ones. So what Denzel Washington does is, if you recall, holds the emergency room hostage and says, I need to get my kid a heart transplant. I mean, think about what you have to be going through. Your kid is almost dead and you hold the hospital hostage in order to save your son's life. It was such an emotional situation. He was willing to kill himself and sacrifice himself to give his son the heart. But in the end, what happened was the judge, after he was, caught, everything, had leniency on him. He didn't charge him for attempted murder.
What's the point with this?
So the point is this. The healthcare system.
How do you not see the point? You see, I call these guys idiots a lot, but I don't really believe they are. I think they act stupid more than anything. They're trying to fool their audience. And what does he mean? Where are you going with this? Do you truly not understand the pieces he's putting together? Do you really not see where he's going with this? You cannot be that dumb.
Is the reason that this is happening. The healthcare system is the reason.
Dude, you can't put that like that, bro. You can't say something like that.
No, I can, and I'll tell you why.
For your statement to say
he says
the healthcare system is the reason why this is happening.
I'm not saying.
It could be one of the reasons. You can't say the reason.
I'm sure it's multiple reasons, but you don't write on the bullet or the gun, deny, defend, depose. Last week we talked about how United Healthcare had the highest amount of declinations of
37%
of coverage, and it wasn't even close.
Look how pissed off he is. PBD is there. He's speaking about a real issue. This is a real issue. Most people, no one wants anyone gunned down. No one in their right mind that's not a sociopath or a psychopath just wants somebody gunned down. But this is the same analogy I made back then. These people always just want to, right? If a pipe bursts, they just want to mop up the floor, not try to understand why did the pipe burst in the first place and how did it even prevent it from happening again and causing this flood. How do people fall for this stuff?
So why did he target this specific individual? I'm not saying that this was the only reason.
Let me tell you.
But there's definitely some room for conversation here about what's going on in our healthcare system.
I'm not one.
I
that's
remember,
gonna
he's
sit
allegedly
here.
the killer.
Tom, I'm speaking. We're interrupting a lot today. Like, let's just let us. You did it to Vinny. You did it to Adam. Now you're doing it to me. Let us make the point. We'll come to you. There's plenty of time. So,
Guys, he's twice his age. I would not let him talk to me like that. I don't care if you're my boss. I would tell him, oh, sorry for interrupting, but don't talk down to me like that. Are you kidding me? I hate Jesse Peterson, and I hate this term, but that's beta male. That's a little bit beta. Come on, man. These guys are so alpha. We love alpha males, right?
the part I want to say to you with this one here is this: is when you think about issues like this with healthcare, one of the hardest things for us to do is the fact that one cop kills somebody, every cop's a bad cop. And all we want to talk about is only the bad cop stories. Well, how many good cop stories does the news share? Nobody. I had an old friend of mine, his name is Jeff. We used to be very close back in the days. He wanted to start a news network called GNN. You know what his idea was? Good News Network, okay? But you know what it was? Nobody would watch it.
Exactly.
Because we're only obsessed with what?
Bad news.
Bad news.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Now,
right?
here's the
Rick
problem.
Sanchez.
There's plenty of, my dad's 82 years old. Who gets credit for that? The alcohol he drank? The packs of cigarettes he smoked? Who gets credit for that? All the wonderful doctors that made this man live to 82 years old that my 3-year-old Brooklyn meets my dad. So we have to be very careful when we make blanket statements. There's a part of it that you're right. 32% denial rates? Okay. Yes. The market will react and say, yes, you're going and celebrating profits. Dude, what the hell is wrong with you guys denying?
The market's going to react. He's still defending. Look at how much it hurts him. He's still defending capitalism. So the market will figure it out and they'll make them go bankrupt is what he's trying to say. No, these companies have a stranglehold on the industry. And they lobby Congress to get laws passed in their favor that helps them have this stranglehold. And you're trying to play your crowd. I hope you guys, PBD viewers out there, I hope you're seeing what he's trying to do here.
32%, while the industry average is 16%. What is the matter with you to do 32% denial? That has to be investigated. Trump is sitting down with the same lady. I keep forgetting her name.
Kristen Welker.
It's not out of respect. She I think she did a good job. You said Crystal or Kristen?
Kristen Welker.
Kristen Welker does
There
the
she
interview.
is. Yeah.
And you know what he says? Here's what he says. She asks him a question and says, hey, out of curiosity, what's going to happen with healthcare? Are you going to autism and all this stuff? And Trump says, we have to look at it. He says, you know what I did the other day? He says, the other day at Mar-a-Lago, matter of fact, I called everybody. I called Bobby Kennedy, and I called all the CEOs of the big pharmaceutical companies. I said, we got to figure this thing out. He says, you know what I learned? He says, it's not even the pharmaceutical companies that are making all this money. There's a lot of middlemen that are also making a lot of money. Whatever it is, first of all, the pharmaceutical companies make a lot of money. I think that part.
Democrats have been pushing for a single-paying health care system, right? Bernie Sanders has been pushing that since he's come on the scene so that we can push those middlemen out and bring costs down. But people that you pander to and that you support have always knocked those away. I wonder why.
Has to be set aside.
So what happened with Pfizer?
Yeah, we have to figure this thing out. COVID vaccines made Pfizer a lot of money. No shareholder of Pfizer is sitting there saying their wealth, especially the people that own a lot of money, their wealth wasn't positively impacted by COVID, that were forcing. What percentage of Americans took the vaccine? 67%? Can you pull up what percentage of Americans took the vaccine, Rob? What percentage of Americans took the vaccine?
MAGA, do you see what he's doing to you? Do you understand what he's doing to you? He knows in the comment section that even MAGA and right-wing people agree that there's something wrong with the healthcare system and that it needs to be addressed. And it sucks that it is being addressed in this manner, but nonetheless. And he's now trying to connect them with something that he knows they hate, which is COVID and the vaccines, and trying to connect that. And saying, hey, look these same people made us take the COVID vaccines, right? This healthcare system, and almost trying to push them away from the capitalism issue. And if there is a capitalism issue, it's the COVID vaccines. Like, this is insane what he's doing here.
Was it cheap? Was it free? Was it for nothing? 70%. Okay, now it's 81% of the population took at least, took at least one dose. Overall, 230% was fully vaccinated. It was 67%. Now it's 70%. You know what that is? That's 230 million customers. You tell me what business isn't going to do good with 230 million customers. That part of it, for sure, we have to investigate. Coming back to this kid.
This is unbelievable, guys. I'm going to leave it there. But do you see the connection? He's trying to push away the blame from the healthcare system, right? He wants to keep the blame with the healthcare system, but push it away from capitalism, right? Because he sees there's something personal with how he sees and how he makes money and how he's made his wealth. And possibly he doesn't want people making those connections and pushing them to something they know they hate, their vaccines, and push them away from the thought of capitalism. Think more about the corruptions of vaccines and how they made 230 million people take it and how much money they made from that. This is truly cynical and sick stuff. Let me know what you guys think in the comment, and I'm going to leave it there.